Hi, friends. I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren. And welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers Season 1, Episode 9, Spaghetti Western and Meatballs, and Season 1, Episode 10, Burger War. Season 1, Episode 9, Spaghetti Western and Meatballs, is about Louise feels alienated when Bob and Jean start watching spaghetti westerns. Tina fights her way through a conflict resolution program. Let's start with puns. I love when you were watching for puns.
Okay. So I did catch the vacant store at the beginning. STB gone, free clinic.
Yeah,
I caught that one.
I'm sure that's great for Bob's business.
I'm sure. I mean, it's gotta be better than the one in the next episode.
Uh,
I But I don't think I didn't catch any of the burgers. I saw them, and maybe I saw a flash of a piece of them because they were half shown, some of them. So I didn't quite catch the burgers this time.
So we only had one burger of the day, and that was shout out at the Okra Coral Burger.
Okay.
I don't like okra, so I wouldn't have eaten it.
Nah.
This is an interesting episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's many people's favorite due to it being a Jean heavy episode.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't like westerns.
Neither do I.
So it's not one of my favorites. But there is some very interesting information when it comes to said episode.
Okay.
The first one being my favorite one. Do you know anything about David Herman?
No, I don't.
I found out today that Frond was briefly an anger management counselor in King of the Hills Season 7, Episode 7. Both characters are voiced by David Herman. Mr. Frond was carried over inspiration and everything from King of the Hill.
Which makes sense, humor style-wise.
It does. The ironic part about that is my husband's made me watch the first episode of King of the Hill, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just...
I don't know if I've ever actually watched a full episode of it. I think it's one of those things of back when you actually surfed channels when people used cable. I caught a piece here and there as I was just going through different channels. That's probably the extent to which I've ever watched King of the Hill.
Yeah. I told my husband about it, and he just kind of looked at me, and he's like, that really happened? That's really the thing? I'm like, yeah, it's actually verified that Mr. Frond was technically in King of the Hill. At the beginning of this episode, Bob and Louise play Burn Unit, where they channel surf and put words in the mouths of the people on TV to make them look like morons. This seems to be reminiscent of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah. I loved that because that reminds me of stuff my dad and I used to do that with old animated stuff. We would just he would just do weird stuff on top of whatever was going on, but heavily relatable.
Oh yeah.
Because we would do that. But then also one of my dad's favorite movies that he really wanted to share with me was a Western, Cat Ballou, that I just never had any desire to watch.
I'll never understand Westerns. Ever.
It's a genre that people seem to like. I don't get it beyond the birdcage joke when he tells him to channel John Wayne. I got nothing.
Yeah, because the Banjo, the movie character in the movie, it's just the character. Banjo is loosely based on a character with the same name from the spaghetti western Sabata from 1969.
Okay.
I probably should have looked up what spaghetti western means because I still don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea.
What is a spaghetti western?
Let's look that up real quick.
Yeah, I'm
sure
know
that's
what that is.
A thing.
Oh, okay. So a spaghetti western is a broad subgenre of western films produced in Europe that emerged in the 1960s. And some of the examples include Django Unchained and Once Upon a Time in the West. So The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Those are the only ones I really, and it's Sabata's listed. I don't recognize these
So they're westerns that were produced in Europe, so that Italy, so that's why they're spaghetti westerns.
I guess.
That sounds vaguely
It
offensive.
it does. Spaghetti westerns are a subgenre. Yep, that says that. Generally, a spaghetti western is a low-budget film produced by Italian directors, hence the spaghetti connection. Okay.
Okay, it does sound so that intentionally sounds vaguely offensive.
That it very intentionally. Okay.
Mhm.
We learned something
Yeah,
new.
every day. I did love the PTA moms with the spaghetti dinner debacle. Like the one upping each other. Yes, absolutely. That is like the peak of conflict for these PTA moms. But I do stand by who makes baked ziti for a spaghetti dinner? It's literally in the name.
I'm not sure. I'm curious if it was supposed to be called a spaghetti dinner when she made the ziti, or if it was called
Maybe.
something else, because it's always like PTA meetings or some type of thing that they're getting together for. Like uh Tina was doing the conflict resolution presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much. I remember sometimes having stuff like that when I was a kid in school, but I homeschool, so I'm just like, thank goodness I don't have to do
Yeah.
this. I am not a PTA mom.
Yeah, but I think Linda said at the beginning, like it's this year's spaghetti dinner, like and like with the flashback of last year, which would lead me to believe that that's what they call the event
Okay,
is the spaghetti dinner. So I stand by. Why are you making Bake City for a spaghetti dinner?
that makes
My
sense.
school, like they had them every once in a while, but like if there was like a an event that has food, mostly they just picked the most popular lunch food item that like the cafeteria could make. It wasn't the PTA because my school, like I said, my school in past episodes, my school was huge, so they weren't relying on the PTA to provide food. So most of the time, if there was some kind of like late night fundraising event, it was chicken patty because that was the most popular lunch food item that my school provided.
Oof, yeah. For me, it was never school things. It was church events. They would have
Mm.
spaghetti like on Wednesday nights. And it
Hmm.
was always the worst spaghetti in existence.
It's never good.
It's never good. It's like wet and it's bad. It's just really bad. I don't know why we do these things.
No, I think I want to say my temple did like they had to have done like like well, I use the term catered loosely, but catered events and stuff for like the high holidays because like that's kind of the point of like those is the food and the gathering, and they definitely did
Mhm.
like a latke event for Hanukkah.
Oh, now I
I
want
remember
latkes.
only latkes are
I love
delicious.
latkes.
I don't remember them. I don't know if they probably didn't do anything for Passover because that would have required a lot more specific ingredients, but food that came out of that kitchen always just the only way to describe it is it tasted like it came out of that kitchen.
Oh, that makes sense. No, that makes sense because the church kitchen. I grew up in a Baptist church. Thank
Mhm.
goodness I never went back. And for some odd reason, the food just always came out horrible. But being the Southern family that I was growing up, my parents were always, "This is free food. You eat it, no matter
Mhm.
what." And it was always horrible. It was always
Yep.
horrible. And that's exactly like the taste you could say. It definitely tasted
Yeah.
like it came out of a Baptist church kitchen,
Yep.
all made by old white women with no seasoning.
Mm.
I can say that I live in the South. It should have
Yes,
seasoning.
you can. Yes, you can.
um,
Speaking of cafeteria food, though, I did write down. Ooh, mozzarella stick day in the cafeteria was always a big day. My school, for some reason, I think I was either a junior or a senior in high school. They decided to stop only selling mozzarella sticks because I guess maybe there needed to be a certain level of protein with each
mhm,
meal, and six mozzarella sticks wasn't cutting it. So mozzarella stick day became mozzarella and chicken stick day, which were these bizarro like chicken finger things that weren't very good.
mhm.
So what ended up happening was because I was in high school at this point, most kids ended up just getting a double order. So basically paying for two lunches and just chucking the chicken sticks. Or they would find a friend who prefers the chicken sticks and just swap with them. So that way that kid that likes them would have six chicken sticks and the kid that wants the mozzarella sticks would just eat
I would
six
never
mozzarella
give up my
sticks.
mozzarella sticks.
No,
'Cause
I was the kid that I kind of just sucked it up and just ate all of them because all of my friends, most of my friends were the same. We all just kind of sucked it up. No one was willing to trade. No one was willing to give up their mozzarella sticks, nor did anyone really want to foist their chicken sticks on anyone. So we all
mhm.
just ate them.
Yeah, we were big on the pizza bagels in my school, especially
Mm,
the
oh,
breakfast ones, because if they had leftover from breakfast, they would then serve them at lunch.
the French bread pizza was always good.
Oh, yeah, those were good. So it really weirded me out with Linda putting all her hands all in the meatballs and, like, eating at them, and then they served them.
Well, because they were raw when she was doing that.
I think so, and I'm like, "Linda, what are you doing? Why what? No, ew.
The
Nope."
spaghetti dinner is very important to her.
She was really mad about that, and that's why I am not a PTA mom. So this is the only time, when Bob is driving up to this very odd fight that is starting, and
Mm-hmm.
the men seem to continue to have of this family have to take their shirts off for some odd reason. That
Yep.
is the only time you see that car.
Interesting.
That is not their usual car.
Hmm. Whose car
What
is
was
it?
the I don't it's their car, but it's drawn differently later on.
Okay.
It's just pretty much it's like the first season of an animated series. They always have
Yeah.
things that don't match with the rest of the series. This is one of
Yeah.
those situations.
Gotcha.
I did write that it is very difficult to spread time between kids. You want to bond with like all your kids. It takes balance.
Mm-hmm.
I luck out because mine are so far apart. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I can spend a lot of time with the 3-year-old. He goes to bed. Spend time with the 9-year-old. I'm good. Bob doesn't have it that way.
No, especially with three kids that are like so close in age
Oh yeah. Whew.
with such varying interests.
Bob and Linda definitely were busy.
Yeah, they had fun.
What were your favorite notes?
Conflict resolution club is interesting. I wrote that one down, and then I also wrote down that this. I'll explain this. This club makes stars seem cool, and stars is a club that I was in. But to be fair, honestly, once I tell you what it actually is kind of cool compared to these conflict resolution club where they role play their abs, which again, that's the best acronym they could come up with. So STARS is a group that I was in high school. It is they changed the acronym after I graduated. They still do the same thing. They just called it something different. But at the time, it was Students Teaching AIDS Reduction Strategies. So we were basically a group of high schoolers that went throughout all of the grades. We had kindergarten, fifth grade, and then sixth through ninth grade programs. Teaching the younger kids got a lot of like stuff about hygiene and hand washing and covering your mouth when you cough to kind of like reduce the spread of infection. And then middle school through high school, it was more about consent, safe sex practices, and about HIV and AIDS.
Oh.
But like these same kinds of things, like their conflict resolution role play scenario reminded me of one that I did with my group because I taught the sixth grade program twice, which is the very beginning of like consent and
Mm-hmm.
like safe like no strategies and like high risk, low risk, no risk behaviors. And we did a thing of like, here's how you say no effectively, and we showed the kids this. And the example we came up with, because this was me and my friend, was I asked my friend if he wanted me to pierce his ear with a rusty nail. And when he
Ugh.
doesn't say no effectively, I accidentally stab him in the neck with a pen. Like that was the whole gag.
Wow.
It was one of my friends. Like I was like, "Are you okay with this?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it. It's fine."
We grew up in very different worlds.
Yeah,
Conflict resolution practices in the South.
yeah, yeah. But like, it was good. It was good safe. This is an entirely different
Oh
tangent, but
yeah.
it was good safe sex education because by the time you got to the high school program, it was very much safe sex practices with condoms and like all of that other stuff. Like it was full on safe sex demonstrations with like stuff.
So
So I knew a lot about protection
we
in high
we
school.
started getting taught, of course, in middle school about safe sex, but they thought, "Ooh, we'll just show these kids pictures of actual STDs and that'll keep them from doing anything." And for
No.
I grew up in Georgia, man. It's a whole nother world. Quite honestly, whole nother world. And then when we get to high school, of course, if you're in PE, you take health from the coaches. I was in JRTC.
Mm-hmm.
JRTC counted as my gym and health. So my sophomore year was the year we were
Oh.
supposed to take health, so to speak. And my sergeant major who was teaching us was a very blunt, like older military man who was retired and pretty much just told us
Mm-hmm.
to not be dumb. So it was a very awkward time learning. We did not get anything like you did. So if you're ever
Okay.
curious what's happening in the rest of the country, that's Georgia for you. I mean, that was also
That's why
15
I
years
liked our
ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. That's why I liked our program because it almost made a more of an effect because it was almost peer education. Like I when I refer to it, I call it like a peer like a peer sex education
Hmm.
group because that's basically what
Which
it
is
was. Like
wonderful.
the ninth graders were learning from 12th graders. Like that's basically like the idea. Like 8th graders were learning from 12th graders. Like 8th graders were learning from 12th graders. Like that's basically like the idea. Like 8th graders like 8th graders were learning from 12th graders. Like that's basically like the idea. Like 8th grade like I was in it from 10 through 12th grade. in 10th grade, for some reason, I was in the high school program, but I was day one, which went over like the history of HIV and AIDS. I'm like, please don't put me in the group that like has to do that, please. And then after that, I had friends that were on the board that decided who went where. I'm like, give me the sixth graders. I want the sixth graders. Their program is better. It's more fun.
It's like, I don't want to talk to people like too close in age. Give me the kids.
No, I don't want to have to do this with my friends.
Ironically enough, though, one of my other notes says when Louise calls Tina and Linda the menstruation nation. Like, the fact that all of this fits together is hilarious.
Yep. Yeah. I found the TikTok sound of like, say something mean to me so I can not react to it. I was like, oh, that's a TikTok sound.
That is a TikTok sound. But Tina did make progress on her stage fright.
She did. I wrote that down.
I was very proud of Tina. But this episode's wild. And I only have like one other little fun fact that you're not gonna like.
Oh.
Beetles similar to the ones released into the local ecosystem in the episode Bed and Breakfast can be seen on the playground equipment.
Oh.
I said you wouldn't like it.
No, I don't. I'm like, why with the bugs? At least it wasn't the swarms. Luckily, I missed it.
Yeah. It was really like hard
not
to actually
swarming.
see. They're not swarming.
Yeah.
They're not coming for you.
That's good.
You are safe.
That's good. My last note on this one was just making friends with the power of food.
Oh, yeah. And then still ending in a food fight.
Oh, absolutely, because you can't put that many kids into a room and not have a food fight with spaghetti meatballs.
Especially with the meatballs. They're so throwable.
Exactly. They're basically balls.
All right, so your score. I know I didn't like this episode, so I can only imagine.
This one did okay. I gave it 8s across the board. It was, I think I know. So it got a 24. I think because the relationship of Louise and Bob, especially the burn unit stuff, and her just kind of wanting attention thing, I definitely see a lot of my relationship with my dad in that.
I love that.
Especially the making fun of TV and movies. But I saw a lot of that in this. Like he's doing his best. I can't fault him for that. I was honestly okay with the spaghetti dinner situation being such a B plot in the course of the situation. It was more about his relationship with the kids and the kids' relationships with each other, which I really enjoyed. So I gave this one all 8s.
I like that because I think it's also, even though they later figure out, oh shit, kids are watching this, even some of the earlier episodes are like really good for kids. Because this is one I would let my kids watch. It's not that bad.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few that I would not. I skip those.
Yeah.
There are a few that I'm like, I don't need to see this. Yeah. I gave it 7s across the board.
Okay.
I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Now, the next one, though, is a whole nother story.
Okay.
So the next one is Season 1, Episode 10, Burger War. When Bob's eccentric landlord, Mr. Fishoder, pays the family a visit, he informs Bob that his rival across the street, Jimmy Pesto of Jimmy Pesto's Pizzeria, wants to take over Bob's lease so that he can expand his gift shop. With little time and not enough money, the Belcher family must cook up some business or luck to save the restaurant. This one has a lot. A lot happens, a lot of notes, a lot of things.
This one's very plot heavy.
This one's very plot heavy and very chaotic, which of course, I love chaos. So,
oh yeah.
Of course, we got to start with puns. We always start with the puns.
Yeah. So I found Rocky Refuge Raccoon Sanctuary. And I did like that it was actually referenced in the episode.
It's the only time, I think it's either the only or the first time that it's ever, no, this is the only, one of the only episodes. So it should happen again later on. This is one of the only episodes. Oh wait, no, I know when it happens. I just remembered it. This is one of the few times that happens. It is a reference to the William Faulkner novel, The Sound and the, no, not that one. Sorry. That's the other one.
No, that's the other burger.
That's the burger. The Rocky Refuge Raccoon Sanctuary play on the song the Beatles entitled Rocky Raccoon.
Okay.
I'm very happy to say raccoons are actually an interesting part of Bob's Burgers.
Honestly, given the fact that like they're known as like dumpster cats, I with a restaurant, I would believe that.
Oh, just you wait. I cannot wait till you get to your first raccoon episode.
Oh, dear.
And yes, I said first.
First, okay. I mean, with this many episodes, I'd be shocked if there wasn't more than one.
Oh, yeah. And of course, burger of the day, hit me with your best shallot
Mhm.
burger, and I completely
Yep.
William Faulkner, The Sound and the Fury. Um, that was the only burger, which I saw shallot and just got excited after sending that picture of like that huge handful of shallots from my garden, and I
Yeah.
realized I'm an old lady.
Mhm. Yeah.
We have
Yeah, like, well, at first, hit me with your hit me with your best shallot. At first, I didn't catch the beginning of it. First, I wrote down, it was like, just like, give me your best shallot. I'm like, oh, and then I saw the rest of it, which is hit me with your best shot. And then, yeah, and then the sound in the curry burger.
That's interesting.
You put
I
you put the reference next to the wrong
I
burger.
did. Oh my god.
How dare you?
It's been a
I am
day.
doing. I was, because when you said like the sound in the film, I'm like, that's not that
That's
reference.
not
That's
that
the other
reference.
burger.
I messed up.
That's the other
I
burger.
need to go back to bed.
It's
It's
okay.
okay.
We're almost done.
We're almost
We're almost
done.
done.
So Kevin Kline, of course, returns as Mr. Fischoeder.
Yes.
Did you know David Herman, who plays Mr. Frond, is also Trev?
Okay.
Oh, I have some very fun facts that make me happy. So the first one, do you
Mm-hmm.
know, have I explained to you who Lauren Bouchard is?
Yes.
Lauren Bouchard is the creator of Bob's Burgers. We love
Mm-hmm.
Lauren Bouchard for giving us something so wonderful. This was the
Yeah.
last episode written by the show creator Lauren Bouchard until Topsy in season 3. It was also
Mm-hmm.
the only episode written solely by Bouchard until season 13 finale, Amelia.
Oh,
So
wow.
he very, very rarely solely writes episodes.
I mean, that's fair. Showrunners have a whole lot to get
Oh,
done,
yeah.
because, like, they always say that TV shows is a showrunner's medium, because it really is their job to make sure that everything stays cohesive. Which is because this is the stuff that I've gone into about like television
Mm-hmm.
production. Like, the reason why we always have like multiple directors, it's not like one director directing everything going on, is because like pre-production for episodes, even animated shows like this, like pre-production starts weeks or
Oh,
months in
yeah.
advance. It's impossible to have one person do every single episode of everything. And even with multiple directors, you have to keep one cohesive like ideology,
Mm-hmm.
like themes and all that. So like TV really is like a writer's medium if it's the showrunner's medium.
Yeah. Another pun was thrown in, and it's in the
Mm-hmm.
flashback showing karaoke night at Jimmy Pesto's Pizzeria. A sign says "Gnocchi Oki Italian Karaoke" because Jimmy Pesto.
I hate it.
I hate it. Yeah, same. I'm like, why?
I hate it.
The book Louise reads about voodoo
Mm-hmm.
is called
Mm-hmm.
WhoDoVooDoo.
Okay.
Also, Louise doing voodoo does not surprise
Voodoo.
me.
No, not at all. That whole scene was so. I was like, this is 2011.
Yep. And it's funny because I've got another like little pun thing, and realizing
Mm-hmm.
that Jimmy Pesto is very much like Bob, just more of an asshole, is very interesting
Yeah.
because he's the same with the puns. Because when Bob and Linda go to Jimmy Pesto's to confront him, a table tent flyer shows "Pasta la vista, baby," which refers to an iconic line in the 1984 film The Terminator. So he
Mm-hmm.
uses all kinds of stuff, just like Bob
Yeah.
does.
His Besto burger,
Hmm.
his pesto colada, which sounds disgusting.
Oh God, doesn't it? And I mean, and the funniest part
Like,
is his last name not being. It's not
it's not
Pesto.
pesto.
It's
Honestly, I wrote down, the New Jersey Italian restaurateur is not actually Italian. I am shook.
I don't know what last name that would be considered though. It's
It sounded to my
pump.
brain, because I think it
Wait,
was like
it's
Poplapovich.
like Poplophages or something like that.
Some Since it read to me as Polish.
That's what it read to me as well. It definitely came off as
Also, given the
Polish.
fact that his kids are all blonde and redhead,
Yeah,
that read to me as Polish.
which is very funny. It makes me question how many Italian restaurant owners are actually Italian.
It depends on your area of the United States, I feel like.
That makes sense.
Like, by me, probably most of them.
That's fair. By me, probably
But
none of
like,
them.
exactly. Like, in my area, like even in the New Jersey area, I feel like it's less common to see
Hmm.
Italian restaurants not run by Italians, but along the shore, it's usually not Italian people. It's not Italian people running Italian restaurants
Which is
along the
really
shore.
funny because according to the rest of the world and how we are explained Italians in New Jersey in a very interesting way to this day.
I mean, okay, I'm going to clarify. Jersey Shore, none of them are from New
I
Jersey.
know. Half of them are from New York.
They're all most of them. A couple of them might be from New Jersey. Snooki is from Poughkeepsie, which
Yep.
is about an hour north of me, and then the rest of them are from Staten Island.
Not all of them. I think JWoww is actually from New York.
Okay.
I remember her being from New York. I did watch those. I mean, I was in high school when those were coming
Yeah.
out. And
No, I know.
I've
Yeah,
watched
same.
some of Family Vacation.
Okay.
I need to watch the next
But
season though,
like,
because
just like
Sammy's back.
they're not. Okay.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Okay, I may have an answer.
Would you ever eat at a place named Douchey Sushi?
Probably not. To be fair, I also wrote down, I don't think eating starfish is ethical.
I don't know. I'm confused by that. When I was like, do people eat is starfish a dish?
I want to hope not. I'm trying to think, because I can't even think of what fish it would be closest to. It might be similar to, like,
Well,
sea urchin, but I don't know if there's any
well,
meat
that's the thing. I was
on
about to
it.
say uni, like uni, and the uni of
Yeah.
from sea urchin is supposed to be. I've been told it tastes like peanut butter,
Okay.
which is weird. That sea urchin does. Since starfish is edible and safe to consume, it has become a popular component of street food cuisine in places like China, Indonesia, and Thailand. However, certain species are highly poisonous and dangerous for consumption, such as the crown of thorn species or starfish.
Okay.
So apparently you can eat them.
I don't want to eat Patrick Star. I'm good.
I mean, Patrick probably would only realize you're eating them like halfway through, though.
Is this sushi? No, this is Patrick.
I think you broke me.
I'm sorry. I had to.
That was phenomenal.
Oh, this is Patrick.
Fuck. Also, the question is, why is an Italian place selling burgers?
I mean, hang on, let me put my water down. Wide varieties, like restaurant. I mean, to be fair, it's clearly just like it's meant as a competition tactic because Jimmy Pesto's an asshole. But again, in like some of the jokes of like the not jokes, but like some of the examples that you see on Kitchen Nightmares of like restaurants that have menus that are so large that it's impossible for them to make anything fresh. Italian restaurants serving burgers is not as uncommon as you would think. There's actually a restaurant not too far from me that I actually like. Their menu's not huge, but they're also like an Italian / pub. So the fact that they have like one burger, even though their main menu is all Italian food.
Yeah, I love art. Like, I live in a really small town. We have this very small, like, Italian restaurant. They make the most amazing pizzas and pasta and all of that. I don't think there's a burger on the menu, though. I think there's a hot dog for, like, kids.
Oh no.
I want to hear some of your favorite notes, though.
Okay. Well, one of my favorites was I don't think eating starfish is ethical. I also wrote down he owns everything in town, so Mr. Fish Odor is Mr. Gold.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
The eccentric landlord who owns the town. Does Mr. Fish Odor have a cane? I haven't noticed.
I'm not sure.
But he does have an
like
eye patch, so
he has an eye patch. He has a really big house.
he's got a golf cart.
He has his own. If I remember correctly, I think he has his own maze.
Okay.
He has a lot. I mean, he owns everything. He owns the wharf. I mean, it's like everybody paying rent to him.
Yeah.
All those shops, like Edith probably pays rent to him too.
Probably. So he is the Mr. Gold equivalent in Bob's Burgers.
Yep. What did you think of the meat saya?
So I saw that and I was like, okay, I definitely think I've watched the Binging with Babish where he tried to make this. Because once I saw it, I'm like, oh, this sounds familiar. It sounds disgusting.
Yes, he was like tartar and this and that, and I'm like, no, thank you.
It was beef tartare inside of a medium well, or sorry, like a medium well burger wrapped inside of a burger Wellington, which I mean we know isn't a thing, but still sounds disgusting. I now want to go back and rewatch the Binging with Babish because I swear I've seen it before and it still sounds disgusting.
The site Fictitiously Delicious made it.
Ooh.
And they posted the recipe. Oh, I don't know if you can see.
Okay. Vaguely. It looks disgusting.
It looks disgusting. Um, it looks really bad. Apparently, it's in the cookbook. I didn't remember that it's in the cookbook because I used to have
Oh,
the cookbook.
okay.
But it calls for half a pound of good quality fresh steak, a pound quality of ground beef, mushrooms, heavy cream,
Mm-hmm.
cornichons,
Yeah, that's the
prosciutto,
Wellington part.
puff pastry, and an egg.
That sounds
No,
disgusting.
thank you.
No, I'm
That
good.
sounds disgusting. And I love that it looks like little sliders, but this picture, that is not what it looks like.
No, because he made the tiny
I will.
versions of it.
Oof. Yes. No, thank you. I'm
No,
good.
I'm good. I wrote down when Linda went on her thing about Tina and Jimmy Jr. How it's like West Side Story, and then I just went, "Oh dear God, I'm Tina." Sorry, I went, "Oh dear God, I'm Linda."
My husband actually tells me I'm Linda. You'll later see how much she loves
Mm-hmm.
wine and just singing and like randomly singing phrases. And I've actually had like stopped dead at some points. Well, we'll like be like about to head out the house, and I'll be like, "All right, let's go." And Steven just looks at me like, "You literally were just Linda," and I'm like, "Damn it, I can't help it."
Last week, I was telling Emily about how I said the thing about in the dinner theater episode about how like now I know what it's like dating me. I was telling her about that as a song came on my playlist that I needed to stop what I was saying and sing along to. To be fair though, it was All In from Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies. I don't regret that. I
Oh
don't
no, you
regret it.
have to stop and sing that
So,
one. Don't
I
no, you
had to
should
belt out these.
not. You should not.
It's a beautiful song that I will force her to love.
And Emily should love you more for it.
Just slowly.
Oh
Because I
no.
want like not
I love your relationship. Every time you tell me something, I'm like, your relationship sounds hilarious.
we have a lot of fun. It's like with that song though, like because you don't get like those like big feeling songs that aren't
Mm-mm.
like sadness from female characters. That's a song that you would traditionally get from a male character.
Yes.
And so like either us people with female vocal cords have to just destroy our voices to sing them or change the
Mm-hmm.
keys. But this one just works so well in my range.
I love that for you because as a lifetime alto, I don't get that joy very often of being able to actually sing what I'm listening to because everything is for sopranos when it comes to like the fun songs out there, and I'm like, great, another one that's gonna
Yes,
hurt my vocal cords.
Cynthia's range is wild in that show.
Wild.
They are
All of their
so good.
ranges. All of their ranges, like
Yeah.
all of them. I'm like, how do y'all do that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of humming along at this point because
Yeah.
there's no way. Like I think that's why I got so excited for Megara
Mm-hmm.
in Hercules.
Yeah.
Her song, I
That
can sing that.
yeah, I'm sure.
It's in my range
I
and
love
it's
that song.
wonderful.
But Susan
That
Egan
one
is a
and the
soprano.
explain that to me.
Okay, so
Ha-
this is the thing with musical theater people for the most part.
mhm.
Outside of choral like arrangements where you do need to be in one specific range, it's very common for people to just kind of adapt their voices to maneuver ranges as needed. Because with the right vocal training, you really can sing a much, much wider range with the right kind of vocal
Yes.
training. So, like, especially with the Disney Princess concerts that she was doing, she had a Bell's palsy episode, so she's kind of stepped back from performing, although she did recently
Mhm.
do the Disney 100-year Hollywood Bowl performance with her Disney Princess cast.
That's amazing.
So for that one, I used to watch some of like the videos that they post on Instagram, and like they would joke that he would arrange things in certain ways, and depending on the song, you know, she could be the like for I Won't Say I'm in Love, that is very much like a mid range song, versus you have her doing these high notes and like Into the Unknown, and things
Mhm.
like that because you can adapt your voice. Like just because you say you're an alto with the right vocal training, you probably could sing
Oh
those higher
yeah.
notes.
I was going to say when I was getting my actual vocal training,
Hmm.
um I think I went up 2 octaves
Yeah.
and also down like 2 or 3, which was very funny because it reached a point in my choir in high school cuz they put
Hmm.
me straight into intermediate as a freshman instead
Yeah.
of beginner.
Hmm.
Um I had to actually test into that, which is so funny when you're like, yeah, I had to test into chorus. I had to go in and sing for 5 minutes. It was very funny.
Yeah.
Um but I did when I was getting regular practice. Even though I was not the biggest fan of my choir director, she helped me very much. I actually did a really great
Hmm.
job to the point I actually got to sing with some of the guys because I was able to get my voice so low, which made me feel really good because it's always been
Hmm.
women are meant to go higher.
Yeah.
They and I was like, "Ha, I
Yeah.
can do what the guys do." I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, well, because your voice is it's a muscle. So much like
Mhm.
anything else, you can train your muscles to, lift heavier weights or, lift different sized, different shaped weights. With the right training, you can change whatever, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
because you are put in this box for chorus. For musical theater, it's much more common for people to have far more adaptable voices just because you sing what's needed. That's why my voice is the way that it is now. Like I was a soprano 1 in high school.
Mhm.
I had these high notes. I've lost them because I just haven't used them in a long
Same.
time,
It's
and
been
I would
15
need to get
years.
vocal training.
It's
Yeah,
been
I haven't
15
used like my
years.
high notes in like in 10 years at this point for me. So notes that I used to be able to sing I can't do, but I was in theater in college. I was in a
Mhm.
student run theater group, and predominantly, honestly, they had enough sopranos. And I knew I didn't have my high notes, so when they needed someone to switch to alto, I just moved over because it
Yeah.
made life easier. And they started giving me the songs that were on the lower end of things, which is why I ended up doing mostly Fräulein Schneider stuff in cabaret.
I love that so much. See, I wasn't able really to do we didn't have any theater in high school. I think we had a drama club at one
Mm-hmm.
point. It wasn't very good, so I didn't really get to do a lot of that stuff. And then I tried to do it in college, but the group in college was very exclusive and wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
let many people
Yeah.
in. And so
Yeah,
I just
I went to a theater college, like a college that has a very prestigious theater program, so I
Mhm.
had to join a student run group if I wanted to do anything.
My college was too small to have like that as well. But remember, I did get that lovely opportunity where I was almost in an improv group. So I've
This
done
is true.
some. It's just I gave
Mm-hmm.
up on it because the town I live in is very hard to get involved in those types of things. I still belt
Yeah.
in my car and annoy my
Oh
children and
yeah.
my husband. They have to hear it all the time, especially when Rise of the Pink Ladies came out. That was constant.
Yep.
I
This is,
can't help it.
anytime anyone asks me advice on like what to do with your voice, I'm like, A, I can't tell you things. I can't tell you what I do with my voice. B, don't do what I do, which is basically just will your voice to do what you want.
Yup.
Because my voice going as deep as it does for some of the voices that I use, literally this one right down here is all the way in my chest. And quite frankly, it takes a very intense concerted effort to keep it all the way down here. And naturally, I can only do it with the British accent because that's the character that I've attached to this voice. But I'm trying physically to keep my voice as deep as it is. I don't recommend anyone ever do this. I think it's probably hurting me.
See, that's me when I go too
You're
high.
you're welcome.
I'm okay.
It's up to you if you want to keep any of that in.
Of course I will. That's just an entire tangent of you and I just showing how much of Linda we truly are. So,
Honestly, yeah. We're bringing it back.
bringing it back. We
Bringing it
really
back.
do embody Linda.
Mhm.
I really do feel like Linda to that point though of like I haven't practiced in years. I don't do anything professionally. I don't do anything like that. I just really love musical theater and singing along with it.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
Linda. And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yay, I'm Linda. I'm okay with that."
I am totally okay with this.
I'm not Teddy, so we're good.
I think as long as we remain not Teddy, I think we're okay.
Oh yeah. And Jimmy Pesto. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, what did you think of this one?
So this one, it has the same score as the last episode. It still has a
Okay.
24, but just not eights across the board. I did give it an A for personal. It was enjoyable. Like this one was a good time. I liked this was very it was very plot heavy, more so than other ones, but still very chaotic at the same time. I gave it a 7 for character.
Okay.
Just I think because there was a lot of Jimmy Pesto, quite frankly.
Oh yeah.
And I did write down what is everyone's obsession with this man's mustache at one point. I'm just like, I don't understand it, but that could be a me issue.
For Linda, it is she really is that obsessed with Tom Selleck.
I mean, that is okay. He's her husband. Everyone else on the show, I'm just like, what's going on here?
Fish odor is eccentric, but him like
That's true.
walking up and just caressing
Yeah.
Bob's mustache is definitely a what the hell. I think that's also just
Yeah.
showing how out there Fish odor truly is.
Mhm.
Um and
I
he's
believe
so
that.
old. I'm just like I want to know Fish odor's parents, but he's so old that I don't think we ever will.
So I also gave this a 9 for plot. So that gives our 24 of 9, 7, 8. I think it's a solid episode.
I like to call this a classic Bob's Burgers episode. This episode is what truly follows your main type of Bob's Burgers
Mhm.
episode. While it is truly chaotic, we do get a lot of Bob and Jimmy going back and forth. It's the
Mhm.
rivalry of this show,
Yeah.
but just adding in all your characters, all this, it really is a community. And I feel like that seems to be forgotten, that they all live in this same area. They all pay rent to the same guy. They all, it's their community. And while I really love that they have a community, it's a
Mhm.
very interesting one and
Yeah.
eccentric. But this is your classic Bob's, because you end up later on getting a few different types of
Mhm.
Bob's Burgers episodes that follow the same kind of like a storyline, but not a storyline. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I really love this episode because it's like a classic Bob's Burgers
Mhm.
episode. So I actually gave it 10
Yeah.
for plot because it's a classic. Um, I gave it an 8 for character and personal.
Mhm.
I only
Yeah, I
knocked
see
it
that.
down 1 score or 1 point for character simply because Jimmy Pesto. I'm not a huge fan of the Jimmy Pesto episodes, but it does feel really good when Bob wins
Mhm.
over Jimmy Pesto, in all honesty.
Yeah, especially when Mr. Fischoeder calls him a buffardist.
Yes, like, Fish Odor just yelling at Jimmy Pesto is my favorite part because he just keeps yelling at him to
Mhm.
shut up.
Yep. Just doing what everyone at home is thinking.
Exactly, and I really love that moment because I'm like, Fish Odor's, a landlord,
Yeah.
but at least he knows.
Yeah.
He knows. He gets it.
He
He
knows.
definitely gets it.
He understands, which ones are the tenants and which ones are the artists.
Exactly, and I think this is also one of those things that it kinda answers our question of how do they have a restaurant? How do they stay afloat? And I think it really is due to the fact that while he still has to pay Fish Odor money, I don't think Fish
Mhm.
Odor is ever going to truly shut him down
Yeah.
due to this disgusting burger. Because in all
Mhm.
honesty, that thing looks disgusting.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. I did enjoy his asking of is it like choke proof? Like when it's bite sized. Because the very beginning of it, I
Yeah,
went, oh come on, man, they just saved your life. Okay, they almost killed you first, but they saved you.
but then looking at something that's bite-sized and go, "Is it choke proof?" And I'm like, "Honey, it's bite-sized. It's more chokeable."
Actually, yeah.
Like, we follow this for toddlers. Toddlers can't have, like, full grapes because they'll choke.
Mm-hmm.
What? So that didn't make sense to me, but I'm like, "Okay, whatever makes them feel better, but it saved the restaurant, so we're gonna be okay with it."
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 106, The Shepherd. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.